Have you ever thought about being so committed to winning that you actually destroy your only way out? Well, today, we're going to dig into a strategy from the super high-stakes world of professional gaming that, honestly, has lessons for all of us. It's called the all-in, and it's all about deliberately burning your own boats to make absolutely sure you take the island. Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get a clear definition of what an all-in even is. Then we'll look at the standard game you're giving up. After that, we'll explore the logic behind taking such a massive risk. Fourth, we'll see when it's actually the right call. And finally, we'll cover the conditions that have to be perfect for it to work. All right, let's jump right in. So at its very core, an all-in strategy is all about forcing an ending. Right here, right now, there's no coming back from it, there's no second chance. It is a total commitment to one single decisive moment. And that, right there, is the key. This is so much more than just being aggressive. An all-in is about systematically, and on purpose, destroying your own future. You sacrifice your ability to recover just so you can pour every last ounce of power into one final blow. So here's the official definition for you. It's a super high-risk play that funnels every single resource you have into one make-or-break moment. And the outcome? It's completely binary. You either win in a spectacular fashion or you lose catastrophically. There is absolutely no middle ground. So how do you actually do it? Well, the main move is called cutting workers. You literally stop making the very things that make you money. Your income doesn't just slow down. You kill it on purpose so you can throw every last bit of that resource into your army. You know, it's kind of like a startup burning all its cash for one giant product launch, knowing full well that if it doesn't work, the company is toast. And that's exactly the point. It's a declaration. You're saying, this moment, right here, is the entire game. The fact that there's no backup plan isn't a flaw in the strategy, it is the strategy. Okay, so to really appreciate just how audacious an all-in is, you have to understand what you're giving up. What does that safe, standard path even look like? What exactly are you choosing to, set on fire? It really boils down to two completely different philosophies. On one hand, you have the standard macro player. Think of them as an investor, carefully building this economic engine that's going to compound and pay off big in the long run. And on the other hand, you have the all-in player. They're like a blacksmith, forging one single perfect weapon for one immediate strike. Yeah, the standard playbook is all about that long-term growth. You build up your income, you expand to get more resources, you invest in powerful tech. The whole goal is to become this economic powerhouse that's just unstoppable late in the game. This is the future that the all-in player decides to sacrifice. So why on earth would you abandon that safe, powerful path? Well, because a true all-in isn't just some desperate, chaotic tantrum. It's a strategy that's built around a really precise, almost surgical idea, the timing window. And this is the question that changes everything. You see that powerful economic engine your opponent is building? Well, it takes time and resources to get it up and running. So there's this little window of time where they've paid the cost for it, but they're not getting the rewards yet. And in that moment, they are weak. This period of vulnerability has a name. It's called a timing window. It's that fleeting moment when your opponent has spent their money on future power, which leaves them vulnerable, right now, in the present. An all-in is designed to kick the door down during that exact window. And this chart here, it shows the idea perfectly. Just look at the two bars. Your power, the all-in army, is peaked. It's high. Theirs has taken a temporary dip because they've been spending on their economy, not their army. The whole goal is to strike right there, at that intersection, when your strength compared to theirs is at its absolute maximum. So this brings us to a really critical shift in how we look at this. An all-in isn't always some reckless gamble. No, under the right circumstances, it's actually the most logical, strategically sound move you can possibly make. So what are those circumstances? Well, you're looking for signs that your opponent is being a little overconfident, a little greedy. Are they expanding too fast? Are they cutting corners on defense to boost their economy? Basically, are they voluntarily opening up one of those timing windows for you? And if you see an opponent playing this greedily, trying to play their game is a total trap. If you just try to match their economic growth, you'll always be a step behind. It's like a small company trying to out-advertise a global megacorp. You would be playing right into their biggest strength. So instead, you just refuse to play their game and you start a new one. And that is the crucial shift in thinking.
When an opponent overextends like that, the all-in stops being a 50-50 coin flip, and it becomes a punishment. You are actively exploiting a mistake that they made. You are holding them accountable for their greed.
But hey, even as a punishment, it's not some simple press a button, get a victory kind of move. Pulling off a successful all-in requires a very precise alignment of a few key factors. You gotta have 3 pillars in place. First, the map itself has to be on your side. Second, you absolutely must have accurate intel on what your opponent is doing. And third, you need the experience, the gut feeling, to make the right call. This picture really illustrates that first pillar perfectly. A short distance to their base means your attack hits faster, right? And a narrow choke point, like this ramp you see here, means they can't just use more units to surround you. The battlefield itself can decide who wins. The second pillar is just non-negotiable: information. You have to know they're being greedy. You have to know what defenses they do or don't have. Attacking without scouting, well, that's not a calculated risk. It's just a blind panic. It's the difference between being a strategist and just being a gambler. And finally, there's that one thing you just can't teach. It's that gut feeling that's born from hundreds of hours of experience. You've got the map, you've got the information, but now you have to make the call. Can I win this fight right now? That's game sense. So in the end, the all-in is probably one of the most misunderstood strategies out there. It's not some crude club for beginners who don't know what else to do. In the hands of a master, it's a scalpel, used to exploit a very specific weakness and force an ending on their own terms. And it leaves us with this fascinating question, one that applies way beyond the world of gaming. When is burning your boats not an act of pure desperation, but actually the sharpest, most logical strategic move you can make? When is that total, irreversible commitment the only path to victory?